Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and I will be unboxing my new Xiphon Interceptor. I did buy 3 of these as part of my 8th edition purchase, so I can get a nice flyer formation, flyer detachment out of it for that bonus one command point. And we'll be cracking into the box and find out what's in it and any complexities within the build. So here's the box. Lovely shiny white packaging that's become pretty standard with Forgeworld, rather than just getting a brown box with the baggie inside it. And yeah, just making sure the box isn't damaged in any way in transit, because that can happen and you never know what's going to happen inside. And look at the tools of the trade for Forgeworld then. So I've got a pair of standard side cutters, a clamp. I've actually got a couple of those clamps to help with the gluing process, a razor saw, jeweler saw, a sharp scalpel, and a selection of files. I've just got one on show there, but I've got several different angled files for cleaning the kit up. So let's break into the box then. So just cutting away the cellophane, and we can see what's inside. So once we've opened the box, then we've got a nice layer of bubble wrap protecting the bag of parts. Again, this is now pretty standard with Forgeworld. It's good to see, trying to make sure that nothing gets damaged in transit. And underneath that is the set of instructions and a quality control check. The instructions are not the new style ones. So the new style ones, which are all computer generated now, these are the old photocopy style. So they still haven't updated this particular model with the new style of instruction. But it's only 25 parts, 2, 4, 6 of those are the pilot, which in most cases you probably won't use. You might paint the canopy anyway so you can't see inside it. And 3 of those are either landing gear up or landing gear down, so you could potentially remove 9 of those parts anyway. 3 for sure, because you won't use both types of landing gear. So just covering in that quality control book, you do get the instructions on how to clean up and prepare your Forgeworld model. I'm fairly au fait with it, so I can skip it, but if you get it yourself, make sure you do give it a good read. It has great information in it. Inside the bag then, the outer part of the bag has the larger components, and then there's a slightly smaller bag inside with the smaller parts. So the bigger parts then are the main fuselage, the 2 engine side pods, the wings and the nose, and then inside the bag you're getting the las cannons, the crew, the engine nozzles, the landing gear and the missile rack. So the first thing I always do is make sure all the parts are here. It's one of the big things. Even though they've got this new quality control process, never trust it. Make sure you've got everything before you even start assembling. Nothing worse than getting 3/4 of the way through and realising you're missing a key component, or in fact some of it's damaged. But what I'll do is I'll do a damage check a little bit later on in this video, but in the meantime all I want to do is make sure that everything's here, nothing's damaged, and all the components are not overly warped, and not, you know, if they're too warped then I'd rather send them back, but if they're not too bad then I can easily reshape under some hot water. So I've got the instructions in front of me with the layout of all the components. That's normally the easiest way to check to make sure you've got everything. So you can see me here laying out all the parts exactly, well, as best I can against the instructions. See, there was a minor bit of damage. When I say damage, it's the central fuselage already had that large injection gate already broken off, but it didn't impact the actual part of the fuselage anyway, so not really a problem. There's a tail fin there. And you can see all the various bits coming together now. The las cannons, landing feet if you want to position them down, and then you've got some flat parts if you want to position them up. Nice and easy. There's the front bits of the engine intakes. The crew, the pilot, the Tech Marine pilot is a body and torso and legs, 2 arms, and then the shoulder pads, one of which has got the Mechanicum cog on it, so you know that he is a adept of Mars and has been fully trained. So there I am, fully happy that everything's here. So what I'll now do is go through trimming up all of the smaller parts, just getting rid of those injection gates. Normally a little bit easier to do this. Sometimes yeah, I just trim away all the smaller joins, anything that's got a small connection to the injection triangle, the big lump. I usually use the clippers, it's a lot easier. But for anything larger, then I'll use the razor saw. So you can see me here clipping away, you know, sort of the crew, the small las cannon points here, and then we'll move on as we get a bit further into the video. I break out the saw, especially for the wings, the engines, and the back of the front of the cockpit. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to line up the saw with the exact edge of the wingtip, which makes it a nice flat edge to saw against. And that sort of acts as a mini guide for you, so you can't really go wrong, and that just comes off nice and clean. And very similar, well exactly the same in fact, with the other wing, just line it up with the wingtip. There's no extra detail on the back of there that you're not going to worry about, so just saw away. With the front part of the fuselage, there are four connection points, two of which are a little bit smaller than the other, and really easy just to cut through those. Just trying to keep it a little bit away from the body of the vehicle here, because I know that's going to be a major join into the back portion of the vehicle. And that's normally going to be the point where I'd imagine there's going to be some filling required. So if you can keep it away a little bit, and then you can trim a little bit more accurately with a scalpel blade or like an X-Acto blade a little bit later on. Every now and then just sort of cleaning out the blade there, just to stop any of the resin just getting stuck inside the teeth of the saw. Just makes for a more accurate cut, I find. This one's a really bad position for the injection point, because that kind of is a little bit of a key connection point to the vehicle. So be really careful when you're cutting this particular part away that you don't damage into the detail of the sight pods. So the final couple of bits then are just on those three engines. So it's a 3-engine vehicle. You've got two on the left and right, and then one on the rear, making it super extra whizzy. Well, I say extra whizzy, it depends whether you're Chaos or Imperium, whether it's extra whizzy, and we'll come on to the rules and stats comparison between the Chaos version and the Imperium version at the end of the video. Once everything's all cleaned up then, just move all the rest away, double check all the parts are still there and you haven't lost anything. I'm still happy, so I'm moving on. And now what I'm going to do is individually check all the components for warpage, any particular damage. I'm quite happy with those. I'll sort of give a little wave or a thumbs up as I go through. I've already done one other Xiphon Interceptor already, and one of the wings and the tail were quite badly warped, but nothing that wasn't correctable under some hot water treatment. But this one's looking pretty good so far. Those forward parts of the engine pods should fit flush against the nose cone, and that was also slightly out of alignment on the last one, but nothing too dramatic, really easy to fix. Nothing that you can't fix with a bit of hot water or maybe a hairdryer. I always find hot water a little bit better. So I'm just checking over for any other damage now. Any really obvious weird seam lines. So here it's quite a detailed engine. I'm trying to show the camera there. You can see a little seam that runs right between the little rivets on the engine. Quite painful to try and clear up without making too much of a mess. This one's got a seam line on it as well, but something that your scalpel can easily remove, and then using a needle file to get into the detailed area. Other than that, everything's cleared up. No over concerns with the entire build. So let's talk stats then. So there's two versions. There's the Imperium version, Xiphon Interceptor, that comes with two twin las cannons, a Xiphon missile battery, and rocks in at a total of 210 points, or a power level of 11. So it's sort of a low tier fighter, but it's more an air interdiction fighter, so it does carry a bonus of +1 to hit other flyers or other vehicles with the models with the fly keyword. Now obviously it has its own -1 to hit, being a flyer itself, so fly v fly, that will cancel each other out. The slight variance on the Chaos version though, this still comes with the twin las cannons, but it comes with a Soul Stalker missile launcher, which makes it an extra 20 points difference. And I've got a little table coming up that's going to show the key differences. So the Soul Stalker is a bit more random, it's D3 shots. It is slightly stronger, but causes less damage flat, but on a 5-up can cause additional mortal wounds. So it's a bit of a fair shake between the two types. But there are some other key differences to point out, and I'll cover those in this little chart. So as I said, the missile launchers are slightly different. The other key points here is that the Imperium one is a little bit tougher with 11 wounds, but you say tougher, it actually has more damage modifiers to it at 8 wounds and starts losing its ballistic skill and losing its speed at 8 wounds, whereas the Chaos one, you need to get it down to half or 6 wounds before it starts taking a similar impact. The Chaos one is also a little bit faster, so it's actually got a 20-inch movement advantage, and that's all for your 20 points. So it's more resilient to damage, but once it's gone, it's got that one less wound, but it comes at an extra points cost. So not sure which is the most effective between the two, to be honest. But what I did do is a little bit of basic math hammer, and in that math hammer they both kick out about 6 wounds versus each other. So if the Chaos one takes on the Imperium one, it would do about 6 wounds now on average, but if you do get that 3 for the D3 Soul Strike missiles and then you do get the mortal wounds, that is going to ramp up to around about 9 wounds, not enough to kill the Imperium one outright, whereas the Imperium one getting to shoot first against the Chaos one, it's going to do about 6 after all the save modifiers and everything else. So if they both roll average, they're both going to do about 6. If they both roll above average, I think the Chaos one will come out on top. So there we go, that wraps up the Xiphon Interceptor unboxing. Hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you on the next video.